What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog, back in Standard here with Jeskai Party. That's right, I'm going to be exploring a lot of different party decks this week. So we're going to be starting off with Jeskai. It's one of the more kind of successful or better versions that I've come up with so far. So in this one, we're taking a very kind of aggressive approach, trying to look for ways to kind of be aggro wherever possible, flood the board with our party synergy, and just kind of take over the game very, very quickly once we get our party dudes online. So starting things off here with 3 copies of Archpriest of Iona. Just fantastic one-drop here. It's a basically a 1/2 for 1. However, it power is equal to the number of creatures in your party, so that's why I say 1/2, because it is a cleric, so it'll at least be a 1/2 if nothing else, and then it'll get obviously additional power for each other party member that you have. And that's the party mechanic work doesn't count all clerics, all warriors. It counts 1 cleric, 1 warrior, 1 wizard, and 1 rogue. So you just get up to 4, basically, anywhere from 1 to 4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains flying until end of turn. So the upside is pretty fantastic here. 2 copies here of Kitesail Cleric, just a nice utility 1-drop here. It's a cleric, 1 mana, 1/1 flyer, so it's already pretty reasonable right there, and you can kick it for 4 mana total. And if it's kicked, you tap up to 2 target creatures. So like I said, we're trying to flood the board with creatures and then kind of look for ways to get through for damage. And Cleric is one way for us to add to the board while tapping our opponent's creatures down so they can't block successfully. 3 copies here of Nimble Trapfinder. Nice card draw engine here once we get our party online to kind of help us keep digging for answers. As it cannot be blocked if you add another party member, basically enter the battlefield under your control. And at the beginning of combat, if you have a full party, all creatures you control have, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card until end of turn. It's not bad for a 2 mana 2/1. 3 copies here of Robber of the Rich, just fantastic 2 mana 2/2. Reach, haste, rogue, of course, whenever it attacks. We basically get to exile top card of their library if they have fewer cards in hand, and then anytime we attack with a rogue, we get to cast that card. It's a nice little way to kind of screw up our opponent's scries and maybe potentially cast some additional spells off of your opponent's library. 2 copies here of Thundering Rebuke, just nice cheap interaction. 4 damage is kind of the I think it's kind of the sweet spot. Was looking at like Scorching Dragonfire, things like that, but it's like the 4 damage is maybe a little bit more worthwhile. So we're in 2 copies here of the Rebuke. 3 copies here of Stonework Packbeast. Our deck is very synergy oriented, so we want to make sure we have a way to kind of fill in those gaps wherever possible. So Stonework Packbeast, not amazing on its own as a 2 mana 2/1. It does fix your mana if you are stuck on colors for some reason. It's not a very good rate, but it can come in handy sometimes. Every once in a while it'll actually be useful. But basically it helps you flesh out your party by being whatever creature type that you're missing: cleric, rogue, wizard, or warrior. Skyclave Apparition, obviously not part of the party here. It's a core spirit, but just a fantastic removal spell on a body here. Since we are trying to flood the board with creatures, another way for us to put a creature on the board while getting rid of something on our opponent's side, as we have to exile anything with mana 4 or less. Well, not anything, but non-land, non-token, permanent. 1 Glasspool Mimic allows us to play land, but can also be a rogue creature that can copy any of our creatures that we already have on the battlefield. 3 copies here of Queen of Ice. Obviously, not a card that's seen a ton of play, but in these party decks that have blue in them, I've definitely been looking on Queen of Ice as at least a two of. It's been pretty solid. It's not anything amazing. Obviously, it's not as good as Brazen Borrow or anything like that, but it definitely does the job here. 2 mana sorcery speed, we get to tap a creature. It doesn't untap during control's untap step. And then for 3 mana, we get a 2/3 wizard, and whenever she deals combat damage to a creature, tap that creature, and it doesn't untap during its control's next untap step. So it's awesome that it does actually tap the creature down. So even if your opponent's attacking it with like a something with vigilance, like Elder Gargaroth, something like that. Even though it has vigilance, we still get to tap it down and make it not untap during its controller's next untap step. So that's pretty useful right there. 2 copies here of Shatterskull Charger. One of the better warriors here. 3 mana, 4/3 trample haste. You can kick it for additional 2, and then it comes in with a counter on it. And if it doesn't have a counter, it comes back to its owner's hand. So it's a way for us to kind of play around sweepers and things like that. Or if we don't have anything better to do on turn 3, we can just crash in for 4 damage, bounce it back to our hand, and then maybe turn 5, have it stick on the battlefield. 2 copies here of Linvala in the main. She is legendary. But man, she's really, really good. 3 mana, 3/3 flyer. Beginning of combat, if you have a full party, choose target non-land permanent and opponent controls. Till your next turn, it can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. So I've definitely actually gotten a full party with Linvala out and got to use this ability a few times, and that's pretty sweet. Definitely comes in handy, and you can also sacrifice Linvala to give your creatures hexproof or indestructible. So it's a way for you to protect your board from sweepers and things like that. Even target removal, if there's something better you want to keep around, you can just sack Linvala to keep your bigger threat around or whatever. 2 copies of Legion Angel. Doing the 2/2 split here, Legion Angel 2 of in the main and 2 in the sideboard because a 4 mana 4/3 flyer is pretty solid. And when it enters, you get to reveal a card you own named Legion Angel from outside the game, i.e. your sideboard. Put it into your hand. 3 copies here of Squad Commander. Any party deck that's in white definitely wants to run at least 3 copies of this, usually. Just fantastic. 4 mana, 3/3 for a warrior. When it enters, create a 1/1 core warrior creature token for each creature in your party. So again, it's going to be anywhere from 1 to 4 tokens. And beginning of combat in your turn, if you have a full party, creatures you control get +1/+0. And indestructible. I mean, that's amazing. Once you get your party online and you can do this, even if your opponent has like bigger, better creatures, well, you have indestructible, you got a nice wide board, you can just crash through, and you don't care because none of your creatures are going to die. 2 copies here of Thundering Sparkmage. Helps us kind of flesh out the wizard part of our party, but it's also a little bit of removal. This card was a little bit slow to kind of come around on, but it's actually been pretty useful. And there's been plenty of games where this has actually killed off creatures on our opponent's side. Not always, but definitely has happened a lot. It is not a May ability. You do have to actually deal damage to something here. So you have to be careful. If your opponent doesn't have any creatures and you cast this, you're going to have to deal damage to something. So something to keep in mind. Final here, we got 2 copies of Journey to Oblivion. It's kind of one of the actual party payoffs, if you will. It's a 5 mana enchantment that exiles a non-land permanent on our opponent's side. However, it costs 1 less for each creature in our party. So this could be as little as 1 mana just to exile something. That's pretty fantastic. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of like our Conclave Tribunal, if you remember that card from the Ravnica block. Okay, mana base here, 3 plain, 3 island, 3 mountain, 1 Temple of Enlightenment, 4 Riverglide Pathway, 1 Temple Epiphany, 4 Needleverge Pathway, 1 Temple of Triumph, and then the 4 of the Jeskai Triome. So trying to keep the tap lands to a minimum since we are trying to play an aggressive-oriented deck. So the fewer tap lands we have, the better we can play our creatures out on curve, flood the board, get through for damage, and win the game. Sideboard here, we got the 2 copies of a Concerted Defense. Another way for us to kind of protect ourselves from board sweepers, but also, like Ugin and Planeswalkers, things like that. 2 copies of Soul Guide Lantern. Graveyard Hate seems like it's a must for me, so 2 Soul Guide Lanterns seems pretty reasonable. 2 Drannith Magistrate. Obviously, plenty of adventures decks going to be running around. I mean, such a powerful mechanic. It's going to be here until rotation, so in some ways to kind of help combat that. It is a wizard, so it does kind of help this kind of go on theme already. And 1 more copy of Linvala. Just really fantastic, especially against board wipe heavy decks, or if we want to be the one with playing the board wipes, we can use Linvala kind of to protect our board, and then cast our own Shatter the Sky here, and wipe out our opponents, Scoot Swarms or Mutations or whatever, whatever shenanigans they're up to. If they're able to flood the board a little bit better than us, then we can just kind of clear the board. Linvala gives our creatures hexproof, and everything on our opponent's side will go bye-bye. Our 2 copies of Legion Angel that we're going to get off of the main deck. 2 copies of Ox of Agonas. Just some anti-mill tech here. 2 copies of Purphoros Intervention. We'll need kind of a little bit bigger removal for like single target, like the Elder Gargaroth is a very widely played card, and that 6 damage can be a little bit hard to deal with sometimes. Obviously, we have the enchantment in the main deck, but having something like Purphoros Intervention that scales really, really well. And if you have found ways of dealing with creatures, and you can just make a elemental token with haste and crash through for potentially lethal. So that's the deck. We'll jump into some matches. All right, up against Deathgate. I'm going to go first. 1 land. That's not very nice. 2, 3 lands. Yeah, we'll keep, and I think we'll just bottom the Squad Commander since obviously we need our lands. So we'll go ahead and lead with Archpriest. Just get the beatdown going on. And we're going to drop our Trapfinder and kind of see if we need to play this as a land or a creature. We'll see what we're drawing here. Queen of Ice. I will play the Trapfinder here. Now we can crash in for 2. A pretty good start for us. Opponent on Selesnya so far. Probably a counters deck. Okay, landfall counters. Right, we missed our land drop, so I think we'll go ahead and play the Mimic as a land. Or we're missing double white for the Skyclave. But we do have Queen of Ice or Linvala next turn. They're both wizards, so either way. It'll make our Archpriest a 3/2, and it'll make the Trapfinder unblockable. Alright, we did tap down the one Fearless Fledgling. But they have 2, and they still got the counters. Do they block? I mean, they have 2, so they might block, so we'll just play it safe here. Obviously, it's one of the kind of a downside here when running party is you have to be a little bit conservative sometimes when you're attacking. If we had another, cleric in hand, then maybe we could just kind of force them to trade there, or give them the option to at least. But we got 2 Linvalas here in hand. If we find another white source, we can also get rid of one of these fledglings. Ooh, double Conclave. So they're in a pretty good spot here. They're going to gain some life when these die. All right, Temple of Epiphany. Finally got our blue source. We do have a rogue, but I'm not really sure it's doing a whole lot on this board. You can block the fearless dudes. I think I'm just going to drop Linvala. And attack with the queen. 2/3, so they'd have to double block. They can't block the Trapfinder, since we played a party member this turn. Okay, so we gotta kill. Gotta kill one of them. Could have used Linvala just to keep it alive, but I don't think that was worth it. Alright, so we did bottom a rogue, which means we need to find some other party member here or some removal. I got these fledglings here pretty big. They're going to get them up to 12. We can chump block 1. Without a way to deal with these fledglings, I'm afraid we're in a world of hurt here. But even if we chump block 1, I don't think we have a way to deal with the other one. I mean, we have the block here. So we basically have to deal with, well, yeah, both of them, because we're all the way down to 7. And yeah, fortunately they got their fledglings online immediately, weren't able to answer them. And yeah, just the way it goes. Okay, so we got a kind of a go wide deck here. So I think Shatter is going to be pretty good. Just take out the journeys, I guess. If we're bringing Shatter, probably need Shatter the Sky more than some single target removal. Intervention could be reasonable as well, since they can grow their creatures pretty big. Kitesail. Man, let me see here. What do we got? Warriors 7, Wizard 7, Rogue 7, Cleric 5. It's kind of rough to take out the clerics. And we're pretty balanced on everything else. I mean, if we can find our Shatter, I guess. I mean, we didn't find any of our, basically didn't find any of our removal there, just the Skyclave, and then we were stuck on white, so we can actually cast it in time. If we'd found white, like on curve, or at least like on turn 4, then that would have obviously given us a lot more breathing room, but the fact that they had those fledglings just kind of going unabated, there's not much you can do about it. So once again, the tap land. Okay, there's Shatter, so we can kind of play it a little bit slow, but we'll go and get the rogue, the robber here online, just to kind of start pushing for a little bit of damage. We can kind of see how the game develops. Obviously, we went first, so it gives us a pretty significant advantage here. Okay, just a land. Hopefully that was something they needed. I don't want to play my creatures into the board wipe, so we'll just play theirs. And if we use their creatures to kind of help us take over the game, then I think I'd be fine with that. So we're in a pretty interesting spot here. We can deal... I mean, we're in pretty good shape here, I would say. I think we just play the Sparkmage and, you know, crash in. Could have killed the Jerboa there as well, but... Okay, we got a Fledgling. So I think this Robber here stealing some creatures has given us a huge advantage. Able to more quickly flood the board than them. Okay, followed our retreat. They've already played their land and crash in for 2 if they want. Wow, they're down to 13 and they're going to attack. It's a bold move. Yeah, we'll just crash in here. Play the Fledgling. Play the Packbeast. And if they're able to kind of flood the board with tokens, if we have to, we'll shatter then, but yeah. Linvala will keep our board alive, so yeah, I think we got this one. Conclave Mentor, okay, they have a land. You do have a land. You're going to go wide, or are you going to grow your creatures? I mean, we're going wide here. Wow. They want to go big. Okay, they got the Cultivate, so they can do one more thing here. Now you're going to make it 2/2? Okay. Attacking for 5. Well, they have 6 toughness, so we can't kill it, so we'll just take it. Obviously, see, Vigilance is extremely good for them. Alright, they got 3 blockers. We can crash in for 5 in the air, plus basically 2 anywhere else. Or yeah, we can also do this as well. We can make their... Okay, yeah, the Conclave Mentor dying on their side would have gained them life, but now we can deprive them of that thanks to Linvala. Man, she's amazing. Alright. So I almost missed the Conclave Mentor trigger for our opponent, gaining them life. Alright, we got there. So fill at our retreat. I mean, the Apparition can still hit the retreat if we can draw into it. Although Shatterskull can help clean things up, especially now that we're on the draw. Shadow's going to be a lot better. It was nice having that in our back pocket just in case there, especially once we drew into the Linvala. Well, actually, since we're running Linvala, we should probably run another Shatter. And Queen versus Linvala, they're both wizards, so we don't really affect our count. So yeah, probably should bring in the extra Linvala if you're going to bring in Shatter the Sky. So I missed that earlier, but it did not cost us, thank goodness. I guess we gotta take out Rebuke for Purphoros' intervention in case they're able to get a bunch of counters on their creatures before Rebuke can take them out. Alright, they gotta go first, so pretty big advantage for them. Alright, we got some removal here. And double white as well. So everything is playable. We're missing blue, but we don't have anything blue in hand, so yeah. Lead off with our Archpriest. We can save the Cleric to potentially kick it later on. And no blue for Trapfinder. Do we want to attack in for 2 here? I guess so. It does give us a flyer. I mean, I have the Fledgling that gains flying just no end of turn with landfall triggers. but otherwise they don't really have ways of dealing with our Linvala or Kitesail Cleric. Alright, Jerboa is not too bad for us. Alright, so we got Skyclave Apparition or Robber. And we're probably Legion Angeling next turn. So I would think I'd rather just crash in here for 5. See if they want to block. I doubt they will in this spot. You get a land off the top of their library, so they have to have a land in hand or draw into a land to get any landfall triggers. Or in refuse. Yeah, it's a much better apparition target. Put the counter on the Jerboa just to crash in for 3. I guess. Alright. Unfortunately, we can only do one thing here. I think we want to get rid of that ooze. In case they have a way to put counters on it. Also allows us to attack freely here. Another Jerboa. Bone it down to 10, so we're in a pretty good spot. But they could definitely start putting some beefy creatures down with landfall triggers and start pulling ahead, but definitely like our chances right now. Do need blue mana for this Trapfinder. Otherwise, I think we'll just Legion Angel next turn, get a 4/3 flyer on board. It's going to be pretty rough for them to deal with. So they found Jerboa number 2, crashing in for 4. We're at 17, so I'm fine with taking 4 here. Temple of Epiphany. Could try to be aggressive with a Robber here, but I think I'd rather have a 4/3 flyer here. Found a blue source. I don't think we want to tap land at this point, so we'll just crash in. Don't really care too much about this Jerboa. We can potentially save it in our back pocket for a future turn, but I feel like we just crash in now. We got the Angel, the Cleric, Robber, Trapfinder next turn. So opponent's gonna have to you know, find like a Felidar Retreat plus multiple land drops somehow. Which 5 mana here, I don't think there's a way for them to do that. They are holding up mana. That's a little suspicious. I could play, what is that called? Roiling Regrowth, instant speed. Trigger their creatures. Let's see, we can still kill one of their creatures with Sparkmage, so we'll do that. We'll do this Sparkmage here. Go for the bigger one. Even if they get a landfall trigger. Yeah. My opponent seems to be holding something here. Are they just trying to Crawling Barrens to block? That's still not going to be enough. And yeah, if we were playing around the Roiling Regrowth, probably should have attacked this, taken out the smaller one, because they could have played 2 lands, gotten 2 landfall triggers, and made it 5 power, which would have just been enough to get out of Sparkmage range. But even still, I think they would have just been gone. Oh, Heliod's Intervention. Is that going to save them? They can block Archpriest, but then they still take exactly lethal. Whew. Alright, pretty nice first game there. Alright, up against Murillo 86. Gonna go first. Man, missing white mana with 2 white spells. We'd have red for a Thundering Rebuke. We can play a Packbeast. On the draw play though, I'm not sure this is worth it. So we'll mulligan. Alright, 3 lands, 2 Linvalas. That's pretty easy to keep. 4 lands. Yeah, we'll get our Archpriest down here and then start getting our temples. We have a Mimic or Linvala here. So we have double white either way, so we'll temple. Packbeast is fine, trying to flesh out our party. Plains from our opponent. What a beautiful plains that is, back from Throne of Eldraine. That opponent has a nice choice in taste in lands. Wings of Hubris. Curious. Alright, so we got Temple into Packbeast, attack for 2. And Mimic can also copy our Skyclave Apparition, which is some nice synergy as well. Do we want a 4th land? Maybe. We have 3 3-drops in hand, so I think we're just going to bottom that because we have all, you know, perfectly playable spells here the next couple turns. Pretty reasonable chance we'll draw another land within these next 3 draws anyway. So assuming they have a creature here to try to equip their Hubris. Okay, Banishing Light, that's rude. We can Skyclave their Banishing Light. Play the Triome, or try to cycle it. We have Mimic here, so we'll go ahead and get rid of their Banishing Light. Not worried about this Wings of Hubris. We'll go and play the Triome. We're not going to have 3 mana open to cycle anytime soon, so I'm going to play it out there. Especially if we're able to find potentially like a 1-drop, you know, another Archpriest of Iona or something. Even a Kitesail Cleric. Alright, Linvala, come on down. 3 mana open and nothing. Are they stuck on lands? Alright, well, I'm attacking in. 7. Okay. Some kind of a mono white, or maybe they're missing their 3rd color. Based on what we saw, not sure we need to do much here, so we'll just run it back until we have a little more information. We won game 1 there, so we can be a little bit conservative with our sideboarding plan. We have red and we have white, but nothing until turn 3. And we have to have a white mana source to get one of these down. It's tempting. I mean, they weren't really doing a whole lot, which kind of implies we might want to be aggressive. I'm gonna roll the dice here, see if we can find a 3rd land. And of course they have the 1-drop this time. Trapfinder. Let's see how it is. Alright. Getting punished for a pretty sketchy keep. Another red source. Well, we need double white, so we're going to try to play that out. Nothing else. We have Shatterskull Charger next turn. Oh, there's the blue source. Get Linvala down. Opponent stuck on 1 land. That's kind of crazy. Skyclave the Alseid? Maybe. But we need another white source to do that, so we'll just drop Linvala. I'd like to find another 2-drop so we could Trapfinder plus whatever. So they're just a mono white Aura deck. Rebuke is good too. So they're tapped out from their Alseid being able to protect. So I think the Envoy is a little bit of a dangerous target. Obviously Alseid can protect something else that we want to remove, so we'll have to prioritize the Alseid, but then they have to actually have something. And they do not. Alright, so easy game there. Alright, begins a Bearded Fish. We'll be on the draw. It's interesting. Find a second white source, we can Apparition. Otherwise, whatever creatures they have, we can tap it down with our queen. So we'll give it a try. Mountain, go. Not sure I like the looks of that. Mono red, do nothing. You have instant speed removal here for our Robber of the Rich. We're going to run it out there, see what they got. Yep, or Stomp. Just a shock, okay. Crawling Barrens, Valakut Exploration. Drop our Archpriest and Temple, I guess. Squad Commander's pretty good. Okay, they got a Fire Prophecy. Kill our Archpriest, so we're going to be doing some grinding here. Well, we'll force them to have removal for our Skyclave, but we'll get rid of their card advantage. Chandra Heart of Fire deals 2 damage to any target. And they got a 3/3. Well, we're in a very good spot right here. Our deck is very much oriented towards kind of creature removal, and the fact that our opponent's not really giving us creatures. We'd have Squad Commander into Mimic, which can copy. Well, get rid of the Solemn with Exile removal. Could play the Mimic as a Queen of Ice, but I really want to save it for this. Really want to save it for this Squad Commander. All right, we're keeping Chandra in check at least, so she can't use her get to ultimate. Yep, Chandra's just having her way with us. So we're not in a great spot here. Definitely favors our opponent. Right, we can Squad Commander. Plus Mimic. Okay. You let that resolve, and now you want to respond? Cool. Now we're seeing a way out of it, this for us. And we're in top deck mode. They still have cards in hand plus Chandra on board. Picking off all of our tokens. Awesome. Mono red. And the Chandra basically wipes out everything we want to do. Yeah, I mean, their deck just lines up pretty well against us. We can try to counter a Chandra. But not much other good options here for us. Linval's probably a little bit better here. Not an archetype that sees a ton of play, so, you know. Obviously, he has a synergy deck, we're very vulnerable to removal. And mono red definitely lines up very well, since all the party creatures are pretty small. We're kind of hoping to go more toe-to-toe with other kind of creature decks. Well, we have Journey to potentially answer a Chandra, but they probably have, you know, a handful of ways to deal with everything that we're doing. Do we want to trade here? This is not expecting a robber of the rich. Man, it's not a bad draw. It feels a little bit slow against them, but I mean, they're more of a kind of a big red or medium red. Are you serious? Bruh, you were all about that Chandra in game 1, and now you're like robber into Phoenix. Come on, dude, that's whack, yo. All right, we'll take out the robber here. So we got Rogue, Wizard, Warrior. There goes our Wizard. We have Queen of Ice still. Just so obnoxious that we just saw one part of their deck, but they're doing something else instead, or that's just their sideboard plan. It was a frustrating matchup in general. Like, everything they do just lines up against us, so it is what it is. Just keep getting 4/3s, force them to have answer. They're down 2 cards in hand, but we're at 8 life. More lands would be nice. But if they kill this Angel, then we're pretty much dead at this point. It is a land. We're at 4, so we have to be on defense here. But they could just top deck a Slaying Fire and hit us for 4 anytime. Assuming they're running at least 2, 3, maybe all 4 copies. Might just have it in hand, slow rolling it, which is, you know, not unusual for these. Like, why are you running Solemn Symbol? So Robber and Phoenix are just like your aggro tech? But how are you attacking with Robber of the Rich unless you have like the perfect like opening like? Oh man, it's so frustrating facing off against this kind of stuff. Decline. Doesn't matter. Again, not really a good spot to attack. So I think we have Linvala plus Journey next turn. Let's see, Rogue, Wizard, Warrior. Don't have a Cleric. We are missing Cleric. So Packbeast or a Cleric off the top would also be helpful, but I mean, we have to swing all out to get. We don't have to swing all out, but our opponent has so many outs here. They can just kind of sit back and wait to draw into some burn. Also have these Crawling Barons as well, so we're definitely in a bit of a rough spot here. Odds are definitely stacked against us. We've stabilized, we slowed them down, but they already got us down to 4 with this Robber and Phoenix that just kind of came out of nowhere. Shatterskull smashing. All right. Yeah, definitely a big weakness of the deck is just really efficient removal. You know, we put our opponent on something more mid-rangey, and you know, I don't know if those are sideboard cards or main deck cards, but obviously they hooned us there. They got us. But yeah, obviously game 1 went pretty well. Yeah, not super competitive, but I think it's reasonable. Definitely something you could play on the ladder if you're trying to go up to Mythic. Probably not the deck for you, but you know, definitely could be something you could play in a ranked and do hold its own. Probably could use a little bit of refinement still, but this is kind of, I feel pretty good about it. I think the Rebuke and Journey are probably cards that maybe could take another look at, but everything else I feel like the creatures are pretty good. Shatterskull Charger, still like this, even though it's double red. We're trying to keep it pretty simple. Obviously, we're leaning towards white pretty heavily here, and then we're kind of balanced here with our blue and red sources. So it can be a little tricky, but you know we don't have a ton of intense mana cost beyond that. So especially with just 2 Chargers, hasn't felt bad at all. But we have the Squad Commander and the Legion Angel that are mostly our warrior creatures here anyway, and then the Packbeast, of course, as well. You know, sideboard here, concerted defense, you know, could be negate if you want to play it a little bit safer, but you know, otherwise I feel like we have pretty good answers here. A lot of decks can go wide, so I think Shadow the Sky is pretty important, and with Linvala, there's like really no downside to running Shadow the Sky because you can just protect your board. Or enough times that I think it's worth running, especially because you can bring in that third Linvala. Could even run like 3 in the main, but just not sure what you would cut because obviously she's legendary. Yeah, and then the Mimic here gives us a land, also a rogue that can copy something, so I feel it's pretty good. It's copying the Squad Commander. Obviously, we got to do it that one time, but it just didn't matter. Our opponent just kind of had a perfect board state against us. That's obviously a pretty rough matchup. Mana base, it's felt pretty consistent to me. It definitely feels pretty reasonable in that regard, but yeah, just a couple maybe little things here and there. It could be maybe tweaked, but so far been having some pretty decent success with it. So yeah, Jeskai party kicking off our party week. So if you guys have any suggestions for this, or of course anytime you guys have something you want me to build around or take a look at, let me know. Otherwise, until next time, Jank with